For the longest time, RuneScape has been a game about killing monsters and leveling up your skills. And recently, a mascot was announced to be coming as a new boss later this year. And it got me thinking, man, I really suck at this game. Like, I've somewhat maxed out and I can kill most bosses in the game, but I really do kind of suck. Like, literally, I can barely kill Raziel anymore. So I want to fix that. Today, I wanted to start a brand new series of me learning how to properly PVM, with the help, of course, with some great guides and friends, on my journey to one day be good enough to kill every boss in the game with no issue at all, and eventually kill a mascot when it is released. So why don't we hop into it? All right, so new series. This whole idea kind of came to me because a mascot is coming out, and I really feel like learning a mascot is going to be really important. And I also just wanted to kind of take advantage of the fact that I am not very good at this game still. If we look at my stats, I mean, yeah, like I showed earlier, basically fully maxed. Obviously not 120s, but you know, could be worse, I suppose. So let's go ahead and look at this. I'm going to bring these up because maybe people in this video might have a better idea. So let's take a look at the starting preset. The Ganodermic is really just a placeholder. I don't think it really matters that much now. We have my two main rune pouches. The third one is not in here right now, but I have it nonetheless, just to make sure that these get filled properly. And then obviously we have our summons, Ice Nihils, Shadow Nihils, Pack Yaks, all of our binding contracts. I feel like this is plenty fine for this. I can only do so much with my limited resources. And then also I kind of just really use my third preset, my Raziel preset, for stuff, plus or minus a few things. If we actually look at this Araxor preset, this is probably more accurate to what I use, using Scripture of Jazz, going through all of our actual gear. We have a full set of the first Necromancers, and then we also have the Necromancy Cape going on to a EOF with Death Grasp in it from a Death Guard, Occultist Ring, Omni Guard and Soulbound Lantern, our Nexus. And yeah, I mean, nothing too special, nothing too crazy. It's pretty basic from what I can tell so far. Doesn't really seem like there's much that needs to be changed, but also not 100% sure. Kind of just doing this introduction this way because I am very much just not good. And I could go over this with like some of my friends and everything, but it's currently 10 o'clock at night and I do not want to bother any of them on a Sunday. So it's no biggie, it's whatever. We need to figure out what boss we want to get into first, because that is kind of important. Also, please ignore my bank. It's very much a mess. I do have decent gear. I say decent because it's not terrible. It's obviously not best in slot, but I feel like the most important thing right now for me will be to actually look and see what boss I should get into. Obviously, the option for me right now is going to be Necromancy, since a mascot more than likely is going to be something I'm going to want to use Necromancy on. So I am going to go ahead and just pop on this second preset for the time being. Now, with that preset selected, really what I need to do is figure out the proper rotation for Necromancy. And I think the best way to do that is actually going to be from PVME. So if you're like me and you've never actually been into PVM as much, probably don't know what this is, but for short, PVME is a Discord that has a whole bunch of PVM guides or walkthroughs for basically anything RuneScape, and that's pretty sick. Absolutely love it. The only thing that kind of sucks is the way that it's read, because sometimes you might not actually know what a thing is. Like myself, am stupid, need stupid proof things, but we're gonna get better as time goes on, and you can hover over like emotes to be able to tell what it is. And by what I mean by that, for example, is like, let's go to this next guide. We can go to the Necromancy next guide and we can scroll down and you can get a full rotation on what you need to do, and you can like hover over, and obviously this is Contra Ghost. conjure skeleton, conjure or command ghost, what have you. So it really is detailed. And then obviously you can see that at phase 1, what it tells you exactly what to do, phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4. So it's pretty simple. There's not really much that you need to do other than follow these guides. Obviously, the smart thing that you're going to want to do is follow these guides exactly. But as you might know, I am stupid. So we're going to actually need to try when it comes to this. So I'm wanting to learn a proper rotation when it comes to basically doing anything for necromancy. And I know that every boss is going to be different slightly, but I feel like the best thing that I can do is go back to Raziel and relearn Raziel's rotation. I have a basic understanding of Raziel, and I can show that here. I have over 300 kills with Raziel. The only problem is I kind of gave up on him in the early game because of the lack of drops. I have 320 kills. I had a fastest time of 116, which isn't terrible. I don't have the best things that could be on these robes, and the same thing goes for my lantern and my guard. But I mean, I literally have not gotten a drop here, so I got kind of disappointed whenever I never got anything, so I just kind of gave up. And then Raziel got patched, and it's just been a little bit more of a nightmare trying to learn what this is. So here is what I'm gonna do. I'm going to go find the Raziel guide somewhere here. Okay, apparently I'm just blind, but it literally wasn't there a second ago. Okay, we finally have Raziel, and we have our rotation here. Our pre-build, what you do before you go in the instance, and then this is immediately what you do during the instance. And looking here, this is the equilibrium rotation. So this is what you use for regular equilibrium with T90s. I think this is the one that we're going to want to do, because this rotation consistently hits around 145 and will require improv for lower setups, but we're fine. We're using full T90. So this will be my Raziel preset. It's pretty similar to the one that the other person is using. I've got Vuln bombs, I've got a vitality, I've got some restores as well as some Guthix rests and food, just because I want to have it in case. There's nothing wrong with having too much. Instead of an adrenaline pod, I'm using an adrenaline flask. Same thing, just a couple extras. And of course, I've got all of my pouches on me just in case. Now, we are going to want to work on our pre-build. This is really important because our pre-build is essentially going to be the thing that makes sure that we don't die. And of course, not dying is important. So let's go ahead and work on our rotation over here just for a second to kind of see what I'm going to be working with. So on screen, the pre-build is pretty simple. It looks like we're going to be conjuring our army. Then we're going to transfer life just to give it some extra life. We're going to enter the instance. Obviously, I'm not in an instance, so I'm not going to do that. We'll invoke death. I'd surge. I'd command the ghost. I would hit the enhanced Excalibur. I'm not going to do that because I probably don't need it. You'd surge again, and then you'd command the skeleton and Vuln bomb afterwards. So let's just go ahead and start that out. Obviously, this would be before we enter the instance. So what I'm going to do is, before I do anything, we're going to pretend like I'm not in the instance. What I would do is I would conjure the army, and then I would life transfer. I'd eat 2 food just so I have it, and then this would be the moment that I enter the instance. And then what we'll do is we'll signify walking back and walking forward as going in the instance, and then we would living death, we would surge, we would hit the ghost, we would surge again, we'd hit the enhanced Excalibur, we'd control, and then we would Vuln bomb. That was a little slow, but we'll just pretend that it works for now. I kind of have the idea on what we need to do for this. So now let's go ahead and run back real quick, and let's try this pre-living death. So as you can see right here, it says TC. TC means target cycle, and I'm still somewhat new at learning what this is, but essentially I have keybound on my mouse a thing that selects what I'm targeting, and I have this going from furthest to closest, I believe. Just kidding, I don't know what I'm saying. I actually meant radial, which means it selects in a ring around my character. But at the end of the day, that won't actually matter because all of the bosses that we're doing are actually only going to be one target, so it's just to essentially target that thing. So this would be our beginning. Let's go ahead and walk back and do this. We would target cycle, hit our skulls. Afterwards, we'd soul sap, do a touch of death, we'd do a basic, and then we'd soul sap again. So that's what we would do. We're going to do this a couple times. It has been nearly 24 hours since you guys saw the last clip, and there's a bit of an issue. I actually started recording about 3 hours worth of footage, maybe 5 hours ago, 6 hours ago, and all of it is unusable. Essentially, to summarize everything, I started talking to a friend of mine named Quad, who has made a thumbnail for me before, and overall is just a better player than I am. And in our findings of me doing Raziel, I realized, as you may have noticed in previous clips, that I made a few genuine mistakes. One of those being that my perks on my gear was just literally trash. Not only were my perks just trash, I was kind of going about the whole rotation and gear setup completely wrong. Not only was I following the rotation wrong, my gear being wrong as well, having the wrong perks, along with not really utilizing archaeology relics, I kind of screwed myself. But that's okay. We did end up getting a kill, but unfortunately, like I said, that footage is gone. So here's what I can say. In short, we swapped out most of my perks on my robe top and my robe bottom, as well as my lantern. And because I swapped those out, everything seems to be running a little bit better. And by that, I mean I'm actually able to get through quite a bit of the boss fight without really having any issue. The only problem that I seem to be having is when I get to this part of the rotation. When I split soul and then divert, I seem to forget to do bloat and then soul sap in that order, as well as same ticking the living death, death skulls, and the undead slayer perk. And because I seem to be messing those up, the rest of my rotation gets kind of screwed up afterwards. And then going into phase 4, I seem to be having some issues with getting off enough damage. And I think that's mainly because I just kind of panicked whenever I did get to that point. But nonetheless, we're gonna go ahead and go back into it and see if we can get some more consistent kills. So with that, let's take a look at our brand new setup. We're still running full First Necromancer, as well as a Death Ward Nexus, Omni Guard and Lantern, as well as swapping our Scripture of Jazz to a Scripture of Amasket, running a Salve Amulet like earlier, and we actually went back to using an Occultist Ring and still using the Equilibrium Aura. Up here, there hasn't really been much of a change. I've added a few pieces of food, and I've added Super Guthix Brews rather than using regular Guthix Brews. And then the only other thing that has changed is the fact that I've gone from a T80 Death Guard to a T90 Death Guard. The funny thing is I actually didn't have the T90 Death Guard because I just never really went and killed all the bosses and got everything to get to it whenever I was doing necromancy to begin with. But come to find out, the damage multiplier for the T90 Death Guard is actually important, so we've swapped to that for now. But for now, let's go ahead and get set up. Our prayer is good. We do need a new familiar, so let's grab that. So we'll hit our first. I'm still using the Blood Reaver, but it has been noted that I can swap to a Hellhound if I do desire. I'm gonna set this to 3 seconds just so I can get some extra heals, and then we'll swap to our preset. All right, I seem to have panicked a little bit too much. All of my abilities, I don't know if you saw in that last clip, were just kind of grayed out and I couldn't click any of them. So I had to turn always mode on and then off again because, yeah, I guess it bugged out. Just my luck, right? So let's go ahead and start this out. So we'll get our summons. We will life transfer, do a couple Guthix Brews, join the instance. Hit this, go forward, ghost, go forward, activate, and we'll do this. Get this off. I'm kind of improvising at this point, but that's fine. Hit a finger blast, hit another finger blast, and hit a skulls. I actually probably should have waited for that skulls, but it's fine. And I also forgot to undead slayer. Hit another bloat, this, hit another volley. Hit a souls, do this. I missed my res, and we'll go ahead and leave. That was kind of a scuffed run, but that's totally fine. Post-production Serkex here. I noticed that I don't
like,
really
stop doing
talk a
damage
lot
for a
whenever
second.
I'm
Okay, we
killing
need to
to
leave.
focus during these
I don't know what
kills.
that was.
So,
But like,
for
I
now,
almost died
let's just
4
understand
times,
that I'm not really
and
doing
yeah,
too much
just kinda
damage.
wanna fix
And
that.
because of that,
I realized
I'm really having
that I
a
was
few
doing something
mistakes
wrong
here and there already in the last few clips. I did not turn my book on, which we have now done, and we needed to activate darkness. No big deal. It's whatever. Just make sure we got max adren, run to Raziel, go in. Just kidding. That was a terrible kill attempt. And then I just surged. So now I'm gonna have to wait a second for it to get my second one back. All right, now that that is fixed, we'll do this. This. Hey, post-production Sarakex here again. I'm gonna leave this whole Raziel clip in. This is the first time that I had almost gotten back to killing Raziel fully, other than the time that I had done it previously in the footage that I lost. But I feel like this kill is more important than any other kill that I had in the whole entire clips that I had, just because it really showed that I was making a lot of progress. Shit. I was like so focused on that kill and I still fucking failed. I was so focused on that kill and it still didn't matter. It should be okay though. We'll get back to it. The one thing that really would have helped me in that kill would have been to Undead Slayer, and then I probably would have had that kill. Plus throwing another Vuln Bomb probably would have helped as well. But it's okay, we're here to learn. I did not get my adrenaline pot off. That's unfortunate. Okay, we got it. Jesus Christ. Holy moly. We actually got another kill. It was really sloppy, and that's fine, but that's the whole point, is to at least get consistent kills. And no, they don't have to be 1 minute 20-second kills all the time. I just need to be consistent enough to get the damage that I need. And we got a second kill right back to back. It seems like we're getting a consistent kind of style in, and I'm improving most of the end, which I know isn't good, but nonetheless, I'm at least doing the damage that I need to do, and that's the thing that matters to me the most. No, okay. I definitely messed my rotation up a lot that kill, so I'm not surprised that I died in P4. I've also just realized that I don't even have my aura up. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. And it's currently recharging. All right, that's back up. And there we go, another kill. It was a little bit slower than the other ones by far, but at least we got it kind of done. All right, we've kind of gotten Raziel down to a point where I can kind of remember the rotation and improvise where necessary, while not being 100% perfect, obviously, but I'm feeling pretty good about where we are for just a few hours of practice. Now, obviously, we had a little bit of a kerfuffle whenever it comes to my gear and my perks, but nonetheless, I'm feeling a lot better about my rotation at Raziel, and I'm feeling much more confident that I'm going to be able to get a lot better in the near future. But going forward, of course, we're going to be working on this rotation as much as we possibly can. And I think it's important to remember that we're trying to take baby steps, as I don't really have a lot of time to play RuneScape as it is. But I think that's where we'll start off next episode, getting more consistent with our rotations. And I think that will be a pretty simple task, though it might take a little bit of effort. I hope you guys will enjoy this series, as I'm going to have a little bit of fun making it myself. And if you have any video suggestions for the main videos that I do, please feel free to let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see some more of that. I absolutely love telling short stories, so whenever I get the chance, I'll try to get it in my schedule. But for now, I think I'm just going to take a break, come back next week, and see how we're doing. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Have a good day.